Jeep just got labeled as the worst car brand in 2026, but bro, to understand why, we need to go through all the different stages. Here are the 7 levels of Jeep. Level 1. The Jeep Compass, or as Consumer Reports calls it, one of the reasons Jeep got named the worst car brand in America. Real talk, the Compass is the Jeep you buy when you wanted a Wrangler, but your wife said no, and your credit score said absolutely not. It starts at $27,000, comes with a 200 horsepower 4-cylinder, and a transmission that thinks every gear shift is a personal attack. 0 to 60 takes a full 8.5 seconds, which is roughly the time it takes your dad to ask you why you didn't just buy a Honda CR-V like a normal person. The Compass is what happens when Jeep takes a Fiat platform, glues a 7-slot grille on the front, and charges you $27,000 to pretend you bought a real Jeep. The Italian bones are also why every single Compass owner you've ever met has had something break before 60,000 miles. The infotainment freezes, the transmission slips, the check engine light is basically a permanent dashboard ornament at this point. Compass owners are usually a 26-year-old who just got promoted to assistant manager. They wash it every Sunday and post about it on Facebook. They tell everyone they have a Jeep, but get visibly upset when you call it a crossover. Their friend group has at least one person who actually owns a Wrangler, and that friend never lets them forget it. You don't buy a Compass because you love Jeeps. You buy a Compass because you couldn't afford the one you actually wanted. And honestly, it shows. Level 2. The Jeep Renegade. The car's so bad that Jeep killed it in 2023 and acts like it never happened. The Renegade was Jeep's idea of a small car for people who live in cities. It came out in 2015, started at 23 grand, and here's the part nobody talks about. It was not built in America. It was built in Italy. The most American car brand on the planet decided to build their cheapest car in Melfi, Italy on the same factory line as a Fiat 500X. Same parts, same engine, same everything. Jeep just stuck a badge on it and charged you 5 grand more. Under the hood was a 177 horsepower 4-cylinder and a 9-speed automatic transmission that broke so often Jeep had to recall it twice. 0 to 60 took 9 full seconds. That makes it the slowest Jeep ever sold. A guy on a bicycle could probably keep up with one off the line. Nobody bought it. Sales kept dropping every single year. Dealers stopped ordering them and Jeep finally pulled the plug. The Renegade owners that are still out there are usually a 30-year-old who got it cheap from their cousin. They have a Jeep keychain. They wear a Jeep hat. They tell people they have a Jeep even though their car has the shape of an angry potato. The Renegade is what happens when a brand thinks it deserves more buyers than it actually has. Level 3. If you live in America and you have ever pulled into a soccer practice parking lot, you have seen a Jeep Grand Cherokee. There is no escaping it. The Grand Cherokee is the best-selling Jeep on the planet and has been for a very long time. It starts at 40 grand for the base trim, and most people end up spending closer to 55 once they tick a few boxes on the order sheet. Under the hood is a 300 horsepower V6, all-wheel drive standard, 3 rows if you want them. The Grand Cherokee shares its bones with the Maserati Grecale. The exact same SUV that sells for $40,000 at a Jeep dealership sells for $90,000 with a Maserati Trident on the front. The markup is for the badge. You are literally paying for letters. A Grand Cherokee owner is a 43-year-old dad who used to have a Mustang in college. His wife told him they needed a bigger car around the time their second kid was born. He picked the Grand Cherokee because it was the only thing on the lot that did not feel like giving up. He still tells his coworkers he picked it for the off-road capability even though he has never taken it off-road. The closest it has come to dirt is when he forgot to wipe his shoes after walking the dog. The Grand Cherokee is what Jeep makes when they remember normal people pay their bills. Level 4. The only Jeep that actually drives like a Jeep is supposed to. The Wrangler Rubicon starts at 50 grand and gets you 285 horsepower with a V6 under the hood, locking differentials on both axles, and 33-inch tires standard. The doors come off whenever you want. The roof comes off whenever you want. Even the windshield folds flat onto the hood if you feel like driving down the highway like it is 1942. Here's the part that actually matters. The Wrangler is the only car still being made today that roots from World War II. The original Willys MB came out in 1941. Steel box, 4 wheels, flat windshield, 80 horsepower. The US military ordered 640,000 of them. They drove these things across Europe, through North Africa, and into the Pacific. When the war ended, soldiers came home and the company started selling them to dads. And that's how the Rubicon was born. Rubicon owners always talk about lifting their Wrangler and have a winch in the back they never touched. His group chat is constantly sharing videos of Wranglers crawling over rocks in Moab while he sits at his desk job in Ohio. His Instagram has a photo of his Wrangler parked next to a creek in Tennessee that he drove 90% of the way to on a paved road. If you're actually buying this car, you better be the type to go on hikes and explore nature, or else it's a complete waste of money. Honestly though, this is the only Jeep where the buyer actually loves Jeep. Level 5. This is what happens when Jeep looks at a Wrangler and thinks, what if we stretched it and called it a truck? The Gladiator costs around 40 grand to start, and it's basically a Wrangler except there's a 5-foot truck bed bolted onto the back. On paper, it sounds like the perfect combo. Off-road capability, daily driver comfort, and actual towing. In reality, it tows less than a Ford Maverick, costs more than a base Tacoma, and gets 15 miles per gallon on a good day. But wait, listen to how overhyped it was when it came out. In 2019, the waitlist for a Gladiator was literally longer than your phone contacts. Dealers were marking them up 10 to 15 grand because people were lining up to pay it. Then everyone who bought one actually used it for 2 months, realized the bed was too short to haul anything real, and quietly listed it on Facebook Marketplace. Used Gladiators now sell for half of what people paid in 2021. There's even a whole Reddit thread of guys complaining that their Gladiator depreciated faster than their crypto wallet. The Gladiator is genuinely the worst money decision in the Jeep lineup right now. Gladiator owners are usually a guy who wanted a truck but also wanted a Wrangler and could not decide, so he picked the one that does both badly. He uses the bed twice a year for Home Depot runs that could have fit in a sedan and keeps it in his garage most of the time. For those who couldn't pick a side, this is the Jeep for them. Level 6. The Wagoneer is Jeep's response to the Escalade. It's a full-size luxury SUV that costs around 60 grand to start. 3 rows, 420 horsepower twin-turbo 6-cylinder, and an interior cooler than German cars. It tows 10,000 pounds and can fit 8 people comfortably. On paper, it actually competes with the Tahoe, the Escalade, and the Suburban. But wait, the 60 grand Wagoneer is the cheap one. There's a bigger version called the Grand Wagoneer that starts at 90,000 and tops out at 120,000 once you add the leather, the screens, and the special paint. Yes, you read that right. The worst car brand in America is asking $120,000 for an SUV that is full Range Rover money. The same company that built the Compass is staring you down with a 6-figure price tag. And what's sad is that people are buying them. If you want to attract every girl you see, Jeep's launching a fully electric version called the Wagoneer S, which will start at over 70 grand. Stellantis really thinks they can just walk into the luxury SUV market and take a piece of it without fixing the other cars on their lineup. Wagoneer owners are usually a 50-year-old dad who runs a small business and finally decided he made it. He wanted an Escalade but felt weird buying one because his neighbor already had one. He tells everyone he picked the Wagoneer for the towing capacity, but his trailer hitch is still wrapped in the original plastic. This is the Jeep for people who want luxury without the spotlight. Level 7. This car is something that feels like it was taken from Forza, the Grand Cherokee Trackhawk, the car Jeep built when somebody at Stellantis got too much coffee and asked what would happen if they took a Hellcat engine and shoved it into a family SUV. The answer was 640 pounds of supercharged V8, making 707 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 3.5 seconds. That is faster than a Lamborghini Huracan. The crazy part is that the Trackhawk used the exact same engine as the Dodge Demon and the Hellcat. A Trackhawk owner could pull up to a stoplight next to a Corvette, smile, and disappear into the next zip code before the Corvette driver even knew what happened. In 2022, Jeep killed the Trackhawk because Stellantis ended Hellcat production to focus on electric cars. Production numbers were limited and clean ones are already climbing in price. The original sticker was around $80,000, but used ones in good shape are still selling for the same price because everyone began to realize what they missed out on. Trackhawk owners are usually a 35-year-old guy who finally got the promotion and decided to buy something to enjoy on the weekends. He doesn't drive it often, but brings it to family barbecues to flex on his nephews. Well, that's about it for Jeep. Subscribe for more videos like these and drop a comment. I promise to reply to every single comment since I get like 2 per video. See you in the next one.